Now, for more on this, let's bring in Brynn Winegard. She is a marketing expert with Winegard and Company. Joins us now from downtown Toronto. So, Brynn, this has been quite the disaster for United Airlines. What should companies in this position do when this sort of situation arises?
Yeah, you're right, Lois. It has been such a disaster. And I think, of the 6 things that you're supposed to do, things like making sure that you get out in front of it, making sure that you talk directly to consumers and customers, making sure, as an example, that you're specific, not vague, personal, not impersonal in your messaging, making sure that you have a social media crisis plan, making sure that your leaders take responsibility, making sure that you're actually speaking directly to your customers and that you appoint someone who is the face and who will be able to speak to those customers. I think we've seen them fail on a lot of those accounts. And this, of course, just picking up through social media. It's become even more viral, not less. And that's really because they haven't managed it as best they could.
Right, and we saw several statements come out, the apology at the end there, but really, this was a case where the CEO may not have acted fast enough, quickly enough. What does this say about how the company deals with the public?
Yeah, it's such a good question. It's not the first time either, right? A couple of weeks ago, we had the issue with United Airlines where there were girls, apparently not wearing appropriate clothing to board a plane, which in that case was leggings, so they were covered. There was the famous and viral YouTube video about, United breaks guitars in 2010. So this is not the first time that we've heard from, public relations issues or disasters when it comes to United and their treatment. The truth is that they're very large. They're a very large company. They've become sort of ubiquitous in the American Airways, especially. They, as an example, have more planes in the air at any one time than Air Canada and WestJet put together. So they are a huge part of the American airline system. And I think that's really, they've allowed that to go to their head in a lot of ways. When you get really big as an organization and you're part of an oligopoly, you start to monopolize the airwaves, you start to monopolize your market, you forget where you came from in a little bit of a sense, and you don't end up with the right checks and balances to make sure that you're doing the right customer treatment.
So then let's talk about the impact then, because today we've already seen part of that. We've seen a lot of tweets, a lot of reaction, but we've also seen share prices going down. I believe it was around $300 million lost to the value of the company. How much more could this affect the company's bottom line?
Yes, I mean, that's just in terms of, the speculation in their stock price. Now imagine that they're going to start to lose market share, which is a different metric altogether, which is associated with share of wallet. When consumers go to buy, they have very good, almost perfect competition for what they buy, and especially in the airspace, especially in the U.S. And so they'll be able to buy other alternative flights, other competitors to United Airlines, and avoid United Airlines if they feel like it. The longer this goes on, the more likely that is. So what we can expect to see is some dip in share price, certainly over the next quarter. We'll see how that lasts. And then what that allows ultimately is to hit to their bottom line. If they're not selling tickets, they're not earning profits.
Now, there are other companies that have gone through PR disasters before. They've been able to recover. What kind of lessons can United take here?
Yeah, it's such a good example is in Canada, on Canadian soils, Maple Leaf Foods, when they had that listeria outbreak, they did exactly those 6 things, right? That ultimately spurred them to put in place a social media crisis plan. They got out in front of it. They appointed a spokesperson. They made their apologies. They did what they had to do. They were specific. They weren't vague. They were personal. So they took the rap for what it was that they did and demonstrated very specifically how it was never going to happen again, the measures they were taking to make sure it never happened again. And of course, we've seen that in other examples, for better or worse, right? Volkswagen, their latest emissions scandal, they didn't do very well with this. Johnson & Johnson with their Tylenol scandal, probably best in class in terms of how they treated it as well.
Okay, we will have to see how consumers decide to move forward with their dollars. Brynn Winegard, marketing expert, joining me from downtown Toronto for this. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Lois.